Hello, and welcome to the Energetic Psyche, Season 3, Episode 6, The Cost of Losing Each Other, Community, Purpose, and the Quiet Grief of Disconnection. I'm Dr. Adrian Campbell, and I'm really glad you're here. This past week, I attended a talk given by Sebastian Junger, and if you don't know who he is, I highly recommend you read his book, Tribe. And if you're interested in a true-to-life and very heavy and possibly triggering documentary on the war in Afghanistan, I cannot recommend his film Restrepo highly enough. His work focusing on the community aspects of military service greatly informed my doctoral research, which, for those of you who don't know, examined the impact of military separation, specifically the separation we experience from those we serve with. The conclusion of my research was that what we suffer from when we leave military service, far more than PTSD, is actually grief. But because the symptoms are so similar and the type of loss we experience is one that most civilians simply can't understand, we are often misdiagnosed with adjustment disorder or even PTSD. I can't even begin to tell you how many fellow veterans I spoke with about my research who immediately agreed with my findings. They didn't need to read my work or hear how I got there. They just knew. At a soul level, they knew. I could see it in their faces, in the glassiness of their eyes, that they still felt the separation we all experienced keenly. In Sebastian's talk, he mentioned that there is something about living among others who are focused on survival that creates a sense of purpose wholly unknown to the majority of Americans living in mostly peaceful suburban neighborhoods. At one point, he described his own neighborhood growing up as being affluent enough to not need each other. I think this statement speaks so clearly to why so many veterans feel a profound loss of purpose when we come home. Because for most of us, it isn't about being a warrior or a peacekeeper. It isn't simply about the camaraderie of shared experience. It's about needing each other and feeling needed. My service in the U.S. Coast Guard made me part of a group of individuals who depended on each other for survival. We needed each other to show up if shit hit the fan, or we wouldn't make it home. I served on 2 different ships for a total of 5 years. I traveled the world on those ships, alongside men and women, many whose names I honestly cannot even remember, but I still miss them. I miss knowing that I could depend on them if something went wrong, that even if we didn't like each other, we would still show up. We would take care of each other. Just the other day, I walked out of a store and noticed the smell of something burning nearby. I paused, took a breath, and tried to identify what kind of fire it might be and where it could be coming from. I figured the smell wasn't electrical, but it was most likely a structural fire. And then I realized what I was doing, and I kind of laughed at myself, at my own oddness, because of course no one else in the parking lot had paused. No one else had even noticed, but I did. And that's because of the years I spent in the middle of the ocean, living inside a floating piece of metal that housed nearly 200 people. People that I had a responsibility to protect. To this day, I pay attention. I carry that sense of responsibility and purpose, even though in the world I live in now, I have no obligation to protect anyone but myself, really. The United States suffers, and yes, I'm going to say suffer, from what is known as hyper-individualism. The freedom we have curated over the years has quietly included freedom from caring for others. And unfortunately, this strange sense of entitlement to isolation, as if it's this healthy way to be. We talk about boundaries, myself included, as a way to keep ourselves safe from others. And don't get me wrong, boundaries matter, but they become meaningless when we completely sever ourselves from our communities. We need each other. Maybe not as much in the physical way I needed my fellow Coast Guardsmen to keep me safe, but in the deeply human way we are evolutionarily designed to need one another. To survive, we need to be in community. This is why rates of depression in the U.S. continue to rise year after year. This is why veterans struggle when they leave military service. This is why so many people feel like they've lost their purpose. During Sebastian Junger's talk, he shared a story about a conversation he had at Amherst College with a school psychologist. They were trying to address the alarmingly high rates of depression among their students. Before recommending medication or psychiatric care, the school psychologist said that they actually encourage students to engage in community service, and that more often than not, serving their community significantly reduced or resolved their depression symptoms. This same pattern shows up among veterans. If you look at nonprofits serving veterans, the majority are run by veterans themselves. Many veterans who find peace after separation do so by continuing to serve, often by supporting other veterans. Why? Because we need each other. Service weaves us back into our community. It reminds us that we matter, that we're needed, and that sense of belonging is often the balm our wound from military separation needs. If you're suffering with depression, take a moment to consider your connection to others, or lack thereof. And I'm not talking about connecting over social media. Connection through social media is a lie, and a beautifully tempting one at that. It makes us feel as if you're connected to hundreds, if not thousands of people. But the connection is shallow and often unreal. Unless you have relationships with your followers outside of social media, you are not connected to them. They do not need you, and you do not need them. If you are depressed, get up and get off social media. And if going into your community feels like too much right now, call a friend, have a real conversation, ask how are you, and then encourage an honest answer. Be there to listen, be there to be heard. Because despite what our culture tells us, the idea that strength means doing everything on your own is a lie. The weakest groups are the ones that are made of isolated individuals. We are stronger together. Find your people. They are out there. No matter how weird you think you are, I guarantee you they're out there. And if groups aren't your thing, that's okay. Community isn't only giant potlucks and gatherings. It's knowing those around you, what they need, how you can help, and who you can reach out to when you need help. Last fall, I attended a conference hosted by Science to the Station, and one of the presenters was Battalion Chief Dina Ali with the First Responder Center of Excellence. She spoke about the importance of having a personal crisis plan. This is a proactive written document designed to manage personal crises by identifying triggers, symptoms, and coping strategies before shit hits the fan. A core part of that plan is a list of people you would contact if and when you needed support, not just emergency services, but friends and family, which may seem silly, but after going through a major life crisis of my own, I can wholeheartedly support creation of this document, even when things seem like they're going great. Because let me tell you, as someone who has had the floor pulled out from under them, not the rug, but the whole damn floor, it would have been really helpful for me at the time. And well, you just never know when life might throw a curveball, right? So if you're interested in learning more about this personal crises plan, check out the National Alliance on Mental Illness, affectionately known as NAMI, N-A-M-I. They offer an excellent guide on building a crisis plan, and you can get it on their website, nami.org. And if nothing else, just please don't isolate yourself from others. And if your response is, I don't, I promise, I really invite you to take a moment and think about it. You don't have to live off grid in the woods to be isolated. Many of us work in offices full of people we never meaningfully engage with, and then we spend our evenings liking posts from people we barely know. None of this is true connection. When was the last time you felt truly heard, truly appreciated? If it takes a while to answer, don't beat yourself up. This world is chaotic and designed to keep us too busy to connect, because remember, a disconnected society is a weak society. So let's get stronger together. How can you contribute to your community? Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe it's picking weeds in a community garden. Maybe it's babysitting for a friend or a neighbor. Maybe it's connecting to local groups doing activist work that you believe in. Maybe it's just calling a few friends or family members, sending them a letter or a note in the old school mail way, just to let them know that you're thinking about them. It doesn't have to be something monumental to matter. Any contribution you make weaves you back into the fabric of community. And what I want to leave you with is this: you matter. You matter more than you could possibly imagine. You need community just as much as community needs you. With love and connection, let's rebuild what hyper-individualism has tried to destroy. Wishing you the absolute best, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me. And if this podcast episode resonates with you, please be sure to subscribe so you can be notified of future episodes. I look forward to connecting with you in the future.